Computer Programming for Kids, Step 13. Preparing to programmatically read CSV files. Before we read the contents of the CSV files, which we created in Step 12, into our app, there are a couple of things we need to do in preparation for that. First, add a variable to the form1.cs file like so. String CSV path equals @ quotation mark C:\programming for kids / quotation mark semicolon. We will access or refer to this variable, CSV path, when we read the files from that folder. Note: you probably noticed the @ symbol in the line of code above where the variable CSV path is declared, and asked it, "What are you doing there, @ symbol?" Perhaps in a bewildered tone, or possibly even in a slightly exasperated one. That @ symbol actually saves us a lot of trouble when dealing with strings which contain backslashes, such as paths to folders and files. It informs the compiler to take what follows in the string, everything within the quotation marks, literally. Why wouldn't it take it literally in the first place, you might wonder? Well, normally backslashes have to be doubled or escaped before the compiler knows how to handle them. Using the @ symbol allows us to simply insert the path, backslashes, and all inside the string without worrying about doing that. That is, doubling the backslashes to clarify our intent. We will escape further explanation of escaping for now, though. It's a rather dry and dull subject. All you need to know for now is that if you use the @ symbol, you are okay that way. The next thing we need to do in preparation for reading in the contents of the CSV files is to create a class in which to store the records. A class? What sort of class? Are we talking about a class as in a group of students? No. Are we talking about class in the sense of, that cat has a lot of class. He even dresses up to brush his teeth? No. This is a class of a different stripe. In programming lingo, a class is a named structure that contains members. So now we have to briefly talk about members. Actually, the word makes it pretty self-explanatory, but an example will probably make it plain. Here's the class we will add to house the contents of the files we will be reading in. And then the class is shown, a bit of code called public class multiple choice class. To do this, follow these steps. 1. In the upper right of Visual Studio, right-click your project. Guessing Ages is the name of our project. And select Add, then Class. Most of what you will select is rectangled in the screenshot below. And of course, a screenshot is shown below with Add and Class rectangled in white so they're easy to see. That will open the New Item window. Then that is displayed in a screenshot. 2. Change the default generic name class1.cs, automatically highlighted at the bottom, to multiplechoiceclass.cs. 3. In the file that opens, locate this bit of code, and it shows the code that it adds for you, an empty class. It's got the name, but nothing else. 4. Add this between the curly braces. Public string question, public string candidate answer 1, public string candidate answer 2, public string candidate answer 3, and public int correct answer, so that it looks like the code snippet shown earlier. What we have here is a class which is designed to hold a line of data from the CSV file. You might refer to this group of data as a record. Calling a group of related information a record is common database terminology. This is not, strictly speaking, a database, though. The true database stuff comes later. Anytime you add new code, you should build it or compile it to make sure that everything is working as it should. If you wait too long between checking the validity of your code, you may end up with a lot of problems to fix, and it could get confusing. So get in the habit of selecting Control plus Shift plus B. In other words, holding down all those keys at the same time, the Control key, the Shift key, and the B key. Or selecting Build and then Build Solution from Visual Studio's menu bar. It is always gratifying and a relief when the app builds. How do you know all is good with your code? After building it, you should get a message at the bottom of Visual Studio that says, Build. 1 succeeded, 0 failed, as you see rectangled below in the screenshot. Another reassuring thing to see is the 0 to the right of the red circle with the X in the middle of it. This number is how many errors the compiler found in the code. 0 is good. 0 is great. I told you 0 was an actual integer, and a very handy one. Where would we be without zeros? If we were ancient Romans, we would write 100 as C, and 1,000 as M, and 10,000 as X. Horrible. What rhyme or reason is there in that? It's a good thing the East Indians invented the 0. But notice that there are 4 warnings, the number to the right of the yellow triangle with the exclamation mark in it. The problem is that the first 4 members of our class have not been assigned a default value, as the last member has been given a 0. The integer was assigned a 0. They have green, squiggly lines under them, giving us a clue that they feel a little sickly. Actually, the code would still run, as these are just warnings and not errors. But it's best to also eliminate all warnings as they crop up. We can eliminate the warnings by also assigning the first 4 class members default values, like so. And then it shows some code where each one of those string members of the class is assigned the value string.empty, an empty string, in other words, nothing. Something, but an empty string. Kind of like 0, but for strings rather than integers. Now when we rebuild the app, the code is perfect. There are no errors and no warnings. And the screenshot below shows that to be the case, with the beautiful phrase, "No issues found," rectangled, and a green check mark instead of a red X. So, heave a sigh of relief, pat yourself on the back, and take a look at multiple choice class. As you can see, it is designed to store the question and the 3 candidate answers. Also, an int member, correct answer, is part of the class. Correct answer will store which of the 3 candidate answers is the correct one, based on which one is prepended with the asterisk or star in the CSV file, in the line of the CSV file. In other words, if candidate answer 1 is the correct answer, the correct answer class member will be assigned the value 1. If candidate answer 2 is the correct answer, the value of the correct answer class member will be 2. And the same pattern will be the case for candidate answer 3. Another way you can look at it is this. The class is a pattern, and the instances of it are the garments made from the pattern. Or, the class is a recipe for cookies, and the instances of it are the individual cookies that the recipe allows you to bake. Something like that. In the next step, we will programmatically read the files we saved into our app.